Good afternoon, meteorologist Bob Acanfrio with a tropical storm Andrea update. Wednesday, June 5th, 2013. Well, we have our first named storm of the season in the Atlantic basin here, Andrea. At 5 p.m., center located at 25.3 north, 86.5 west. Maximum sustained winds 40 miles an hour. And uncertain north movement at 3 as we're still getting that center located here. We'll get a more certain movement here probably in the next 12 hours or so. Minimum central pressure recorded by the hurricane hunters was 1,002 millibars. So here's the official forecast track, bringing it, we had that center relocate to the east near the heavier convection today. I'll show you that in a minute by the satellite. So that brought our path a little farther to the south and east here. Initially, we thought maybe up towards Appalachia Bay here. Probably bring that a little farther south. And again, storms like this, systems like this that are sheared, tend to relocate the center maybe yet again. And it's going to keep trying to get under that deeper convection off to the east. So we may even see this, eventual path shift a little farther east and south. So that's why you see the cone here. It's very possible it could come ashore a little farther east and south here along the west coast of Florida. Again, not to really focus on the exact track of this system where the center goes, because the worst of the weather will be to the east and south of where the center makes landfall. So across much of the peninsula of Florida here, from northeast Florida through South Florida, is where we're going to see the worst of the weather starting later tonight and into the day tomorrow and into Thursday night. So for the next 24 hours or so, we're going to see the worst of the weather. The three main aspects of this system, the worst is going to be heavy rainfall, widespread 4 to 8 inches of rain, possibly a couple places a little higher than that. Definitely isolated tornadoes a possibility. We will see a tornado watch go out probably later tonight or tomorrow for a portion of the Florida peninsula here, again, to the east and south of the center. And then the worst of the storm surge along the western coast. This is, combination of high tide and a little bit of surge will be from Tampa Bay to Apalachicola Bay. So right in this area here. And again, the worst will be to the east and south of where the center makes landfall. And that's looking like right now at about 2 to 4 feet. So up in this area again. If the center slips a little farther south, then the worst of the water rise will be a little farther to the south. And then again, as it moves up the east coast here, we do have tropical storm warnings. Let me just hit these first in the blue area here from Ochlockonee River to Boca Grande here along the west coast, and then we have a tropical storm watch in the yellow here from Flagler Beach, Florida to Surf City, North Carolina, right here. Again, and then this is going to track, as I've been saying all along, and you've been hearing it for a while now, right up along the east coast here, eastern seaboard. And again, the worst of the rain and wind are going to be on the east side of this system. So if this center stays offshore, you're not going to see much on the west side at all with this. So unless you're right along the coast here, this is where the worst weather is going to be. If this stays a little farther inland, then maybe the Outer Banks of North Carolina expect some rain and wind Friday afternoon as this passes by. And then this shoots up up towards New England here. And again, not much on the western side. So if you're west of this system, you're not going to see much rain and wind at all. So for most of you here in the Northeast, it's going to be a pretty good weekend, except right along the coast here. Maybe out towards the Cape, maybe eastern Long Island, you might see the worst of the weather with this system as it passes through. But again, not much on the west side with this system. Let's move on over here to the visible satellite. And you saw today what happened was, we were looking at this swirl here and here as we thought would be the center. A lot of times what happens with these sheared systems when they try to get their act together, the center, we get a lot of center jumps. And then we saw, wow, look at this spin right in here. And this is where the center is right now. This is where the hurricane hunters have it, right in this area, right on the western edge of the deepest convection. Now that doesn't mean it's going to stay here. It might even jump a little farther east. It might keep trying to get into this deeper convection here. And what that would do is shift the track a little farther east and south, and also make a quicker landfall too. Because if it keeps shifting east, it's going to get closer to landfall here across Florida. So that'll be an interesting thing to watch. Again, no matter what happens there, the worst of the weather is going to be to the east of this system here, and you can see the tropical feed and even some bands of rainfall starting to overspread southwestern Florida here. You can see the thunderstorms showing up on the visible satellite here, starting to pop through here. So we're going to constantly see this feed, and then again, expect to see some sort of tornado watch up across the Florida peninsula probably later tonight or tomorrow morning. If we look at the water vapor loop, again, this shows a typical sheared system. You'd be looking at this and being like, is this really a tropical storm? Well, yes, they found the closed circulation, they found the winds, it's a tropical storm. But again, it looks just like our typical sheared system here. And this is not going to change either. If you look at the shear right now, we're still looking at that 20, 30, 40 knots of shear here in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. We saw, what gave it a chance today, we saw a little bit of an upper level cyclone trying to build near the center here, and that gave it just enough pop for that center to relocate under the thunderstorms and for this to become a tropical storm today. But again, the shear is not going to die out anytime soon. It's pretty much going to be status quo for the next 24 to 48 hours as this system, moves across Florida. So I would expect Andrea to pretty much stay where it is. We maybe bump it up 5 miles an hour at the most at landfall. I really don't see her getting much stronger than where we are now. So that's good news. And again, basically a rain and wind, not a big wind event, but really a big rain event for the Florida Peninsula here. If you look at this is 18Z model runs here, and you could see, and again with that center relocating, you saw a lot of the models up in this area yesterday, but now we've shifted a little farther south and east, and again they're clustered right where the National Hurricane Center track is. If we go back to the track, there it is. And then if we go to the models, there's your cone, and then right up along the east coast. And if you look at the Euro, this is the European model comes Saturday morning here. They show our low pressure right near the Cape. Can't go against this. Again, the heaviest winds still east of the center. So again, the western edge, not going to see much weather at all. And again, depending on how far inland this goes, whether you'll see much along the coast or not. Again, my areas would be Florida Peninsula, Outer Banks, North Carolina, and then maybe near the Cape as far as the worst weather goes. And this should, as this moves along the eastern seaboard, this should crank up to a nice extra tropical system. Whether it'll still have a name by the time it gets up here, that'll all depend. So that's basically our forecast right now. Again, rain, some wind. Watch out for tornadoes across the Florida Peninsula later tonight and tomorrow. That'll be it for me today. I'll try to have another update for you guys either later tonight or tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye-bye.